So hey everyone, welcome back to Coffee and Crime. In today's video I'm going to be taking a look into the Jay Slater case. I'm going to be focusing on mainly the footage that I've seen, some of the things that have come up in the interviews that I've also seen, because I'm sure that if you're following this case, most of you know by now kind of where we're at. But I'm going to do a little brief synopsis on the background of this case, and then I'm going to be looking into this. If this is the sort of thing you're into, whether it be true crime or whether it's looking into the psychology behind certain cases and what creates a person to do what they're doing, then this could be the channel for you. So don't forget to please like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future uploads. So that being said, put your tinfoil hat on or take it off as we delve into the criminal mind. So this case is about Jay Slater. He's a 19-year-old young man from Yorkshire, and he went missing in Tenerife just over 2 weeks ago now. This case has been everywhere. You know, there's pretty much nowhere to escape this case. I'm not sure why this particular case grabbed the attention of the world, in effect, when, especially given that there are millions of people that go missing every year, you know, in the world. So why Jay Slater grabbed the attention of people, I cannot tell you that, but he has, and it's been everywhere. If you're on social media and in the mainstream media, you've seen there have been various reporters that have gone over there investigating this. Lots of people have gone over there to investigate it. The rumour mill and conspiracy theories have gone mental over on social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram, YouTube, etc. The armchair detectives, you know, a bit like myself, I suppose, because this has created a lot of confusion. And I'm sure that most of you know, like I say, that he's 19 and he went missing in Tenerife after going to he went to a 3-day event, and that was the NRG Music Festival in Tenerife, Americas de Playa. Sorry if I say this wrong, but the Americas de Playas is where he was staying, and he'd gone there with his 2 friends, I believe Lucy and Brad. There's footage of him at this event, which I will show you here. Now, for all intents and purposes, what seems to be coming out is that he left. He wanted to carry on partying. His friends stated they went home. He befriended two men. We don't know really much about these men. Nothing's really been said in the media about these men. We haven't had anyone come out and say, yes, this was us. Whether the police are holding that close to their chest, I don't know, but we don't really know much about these 2 young men that apparently he got into a white car, and from what we are gathering, he was then driven to this Airbnb where he stayed the night, and then the next morning he contacted his friend Lucy.
Hours since you spoke to Jay?
Well, it's actually even been longer than 72 hours now. It was 72 hours at 8:30 this morning, and obviously that's a long time to be going without food, without water. And I just think with the amount of time that's gone by, I feel like a little bit more could have been done on the authorities' part over here. But yeah, it's been awful. Honestly, I've never been so worried in my life. Like, it's just the unknown as well. Like, you don't know what's happened. You don't know where he's gone. Like, his last drop pin wasn't even on a road. Like, there's a reason he's gone off road, I think. Like, why has he not carried on the path? He's not a stupid boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he would have stayed on the road. Like, it was at 8 a.m. as well, so, well, just after 8 a.m. So that's like the perfect time. It's not cold at night. It's not midday heat, so there's hikers, there's tourists, there's photographers, there's people around. He's not stupid. He would know to stay on the road, and then he'd walk past someone and say, look, sorry, I'm lost. I understand there's the language barrier with some people, but someone would have been able to speak English. He would have been able to communicate efficiently to let them know that he had no phone, he had no water, and he was stuck up here. Like, why has he gone off the road? Like, there's unanswered questions, and I feel like they're not. I feel like they are doing some things, but I feel like they could try.
And what we're now hearing nearly 2 weeks later is that he also spoke to his friend Brad, and I will get to that a bit later on. So In this call, he says that he's thirsty. He doesn't know where he is. He then looks on Google Maps apparently and states that he is it's like a 50 minute to an hour drive away, and it turns out to be sort of 10-11 hours walking distance. Now, when you look at the terrain, and I'm going to show you sort of various footage of the terrain as you follow where he is, it is treacherous. You can see that it is. This Airbnb is tucked away in the middle of nowhere. No one really knows why he travelled that distance, but having two young men myself, my sons, and I've been that age myself and done crazy things. I think the judgment that's coming out of, you know, why did he get into this car when he didn't know these people? Well, it's now coming out that apparently he did meet these people, or they met them a few days before, struck up a friendship with them. And in all fairness, we've done that. I've done that. And I'm sure there are people that wouldn't do that, but there are people that would. You know, when you're young and you're out there and you're living life and you're having fun, you don't, your first thought isn't that something bad is going to happen. You know, I mean, maybe to some it should be, but it isn't. And he's out there having fun. This is kind of what we're seeing. If he's out of it, which he does look when you've looked at that footage that I've just shown you of him in the club, unfortunately, there does look to be like there's an influence there, drugs and alcohol. And if you're that out of it, when you get into a car, the chances are you've probably fallen asleep. You don't realise how far away it is. And the next morning he wakes up and he speaks to his friends. Now, in the beginning, we just found out that he spoke to Lucy, his friend. This has got very confusing, this case. So she does this interview where she states that around 8 o'clock or 8:30 that she had this brief conversation with Jay, and he said that he's thirsty. He's been, I think he said he's been cut by a cactus. He doesn't know where he is. But then later on, like I say, that we also get this conversation from Brad where Brad says that he also spoke to Jay before Lucy.
Say we are now on to day 12. The police say they are not yet scaling back the search, but it is eerily quiet up here, and it does feel like that's where we're going. We're at that point in the investigation where it's accepted. If Jay was out here, if he got stuck in this terrain, the likelihood is they are looking for a body. However, his family and friends are desperately trying to hang on to any alternative that would mean he's still alive, no matter how unpalatable the idea of an abduction might be. I spent time with his family. They're tight-knit and they are desperately trying to navigate this. And on the request of Jay's mum, his best friend Brad, who was on that trip with him, who's one of the last people to speak to him, he sat down and spoke with me earlier. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. And I know you're only doing this because Debbie's asked you to speak on behalf of them and to let people know what your best friend was like. Describe Jay to me, what his personality's like.
We did that festival for 3 days. We do one day festival. I'd be tired, rough in the morning. He's waking up fresh to go and do it all again. It's just everything we've done like that. He's just been, I don't know, I can't explain him. He's just different.
He's excited. He's got a zest for life. He wants to go and enjoy every moment to the fullest.
Yeah, he does. And he does that. He did that anyway.
So you were actually on the phone to him that morning. He video called you. Tell me what he was saying to you.
He was on the phone and he goes, I'm not walking down all around that road. And he's gone over a little bit, like a little, not a big drop, just a little tiny little drop, and he's going down there. He goes, I'll ring you back, because I think someone else was ringing him. And he probably, if thinking like me, he would have went back up and started walking around the path again. He wouldn't have gone all that way down there.
So you said that you could see his feet and he was actually sort of sliding down the hill. Like you could hear the rocks.
Yeah, that's how I knew he went off the road. Because you could hear, like, when you walk on gravel or whatever it is, you can, you know what I mean, it's storms.
Were you concerned at that point?
Not at the time, no, because we were both, like, laughing about it. He said, look where I am. Like, I just come out of a festival myself. Because he didn't seem concerned on the phone until we knew how far away we were.
Yeah.
I said, put your location on. He said, a 50-minute drive or a 14-hour walk. I don't know if it's accurate or not.
Yeah.
So I said to him, well, it's only a 50-minute drive, get a taxi.
And what do you hope might be the outcome?
And he comes home. Someone brings him home, he's found somewhere. He just comes, I don't know how to feel about anything. I've been here now. We've been missing for 10, 11 days. And every day, I mean, my mind's just going blank. I don't know what to say anymore. Obviously, everyone wants him to come home. I'm praying he comes home every night. I still got hope for him. I still feel like he's somewhere.
Well, what Brad told me in that interview has actually impacted the focus of the search by experienced British climber Paul Arnott. You'll be able to see him over there on the road line. So he is accessing places that even the police aren't able to go to. He's a very experienced climber. So he's actually going along looking for downward skidding tracks. He's been shown the trainers that Jay was wearing. Now, Brad said his instinct is he thinks his friend would have realised the impossibility of trying to navigate this terrain and would have gone back onto the road. However, a car would have seen him. We do know he had one further call with a friend, Lucy. The tone of that call was definitely more distressed, and then his phone died. So they have a really difficult job here. I can't express enough how difficult it would be to find a body in this terrain because of the canopy. They're not looking for a needle in a haystack. They're looking for a needle in a hayfield.
And he says that Jay seemed in good spirits, that he was just walking and talking, but he was sliding down rocks. Apparently, he said that he heard him slipping on rocks. He says that they were sort of joking about it. And then he said that the call got cut because somebody else was calling. Now, we don't know if this was a mystery caller or whether that was actually Lucy that was calling him, but he said this was at around 7:30, I believe, in the morning. And so going by that initial, it's a little odd to me that we're finding out nearly 2 weeks later. Now, I'm not saying that the police weren't aware of this. They very possibly were, and they may have even said to Brad that he's not to say anything. But it seems a little odd to me that if that was the case, then why is it nearly 2 weeks later he's allowed to say something? And, you know, so it's that's a little confusing to me, is why we're now finding out that there was this other phone call, and puts him in a sort of area where he talks as well, that he said that he asked Jay to look at his Google Maps, and that's when Jay said, I'm 50 minutes away and it's like an 11-hour walk. And he says, well, why don't you get a taxi? And then the sort of conversation seems to have cut off. He says there was no alarm because sort of Jay was apparently laughing and sort of joking. And my thoughts on this, so going by those two things that we know now, is unless you're in that situation, you don't always know how you're going to react. And it's very difficult to not put yourself in that with what you would do. And if you would do something different, you almost can't understand why somebody else doesn't do that very same thing. You know, we are all very different, and we do deal with things very differently. And some lads would be very maybe concerned about their friend, and others may not. It is slightly disconcerting to me that his friend Brad wasn't questioning why he was so far away. Now, okay, maybe the phone got cut off before he could even ask those questions. We don't know. But the fact that they were sort of laughing and joking, the fact that he said to Brad, I'm 50 minutes away by car, but I'm 10 hours walk away. I'm not sure I understand why his first instincts wasn't, well, hang on a minute, mate. Why are you that far away from where we were? What is going on? And why there was no concern. This is what is flagging up to me. Now, I'm not saying that I believe there's anything that I know for sure they're involved in anything. We don't, at the end of the day. We don't. We can only go by what we know. But these are my things that I'm coming up with instinctively in the knowledge that I have working with people for nearly 20 years. It strikes me a little strange that there was no concern for why he was so far away. Now, the other thing that strikes me odd is that you can share your location. So one of the first things that potentially could have helped, and I'm not really understanding again why this wasn't flagged, is share your location with me so I know where you are, especially given that he is so far away. Now, the fact that he says, why don't you get a taxi, says that he's potentially believing that he's got the means to get a taxi back. Now, okay, he's 19. It could be that he doesn't want to spend the money. But when you are lost or not sure where you are, it's striking me a little odd that he comes out of this Airbnb. He then speaks to this lady, and she says that she had this young man approach her. He asked her about the bus times. This is around 8 o'clock in the morning. And she says that she told him that the next bus was at 10 o'clock. And then apparently he turned around and started walking up. Now, this is where, like I say, things start to feel a little bit odd to me, because apparently this woman then also says that she then saw him walking. She got in her car about 25 minutes or so later and saw him walking. Now, I don't blame this woman for not pulling down the window and speaking to this young man, because A, there's a language barrier. B, he's a strange young man. She doesn't know who he is. So I don't think we can say anything about this lady who says what she says, because I've seen a lot of things of like, why didn't she roll down the window and speak to him? Why didn't she offer him a lift? I'm not sure I would in a foreign country. It'd be the same if I saw a young man, a 19-year-old man walking here on his own, or even up on the South Downs near where I live, and it's like me saying, yeah, just hop in my car and I'll give you a lift back. Now, okay, if he said to me he was lost, I would help direct him. I wouldn't necessarily have him in my car. So I can't blame her for that. But what is odd to me is that when you look at the directions, and I will show you, there's one direction that takes him sort of further into the mountains, into the sort of treacherous terrain, and then there's the other one that takes him along the road. And if he'd carried on the road, there was numerous other bus stops along that way, and actually then as he goes a bit further, there is actually a bar there, which if he says he's thirsty, then he would have found that bar, and it doesn't seem that it's that long a distance away. But and even though the bar probably wouldn't have been open, he would have seen perhaps the opening times of the bar, and he would probably then have sat there and waited, because he could have then gone in, charged his phone maybe, or offered to use someone else's phone. He could have certainly got a drink and then got some help. What strikes me as odd is that he chose to go the opposite way. He didn't even go back to the Airbnb to say, hey, look, can I charge my phone for a bit before I head off? Because 19-year-olds, as much as they can be where they don't always think to charge their phone, but I would struggle to believe that there is no phone charger in the place in this Airbnb. If you're staying in an Airbnb, the chances are the two people have phones. The chances are they've got a charger. Okay, you can argue the fact that maybe it wasn't the same phone. Fair enough. But then he could have also said, well, can I use your phone to contact or get a taxi or contact somebody? So something tells me instinctively that something's not right with these two people that he's allegedly gone to this Airbnb with. Because that doesn't make sense. If these are two people that he's become friends with, why did he not say to them, look, this is a situation, I need to charge my phone, or if I can't charge my phone, can I use your phone to contact my friends or even contact a taxi? So then we got to rule out the fact that then that this was an okay, in my opinion, an okay situation. Unless two things. One, these were not friends of his, or two, say they'd left. But then again, if they'd left, then surely they would have given him a lift. There's no mention anymore of this white car. This white car, I mean, that apparently that pulled up and he got in. Is there no CCTV footage around? Because there's things that have been picked up on CCTV, but why is there nothing that showcases a white car and him getting in this white car, and then the white car saying driving through before it gets to where perhaps there isn't any CCTV? I don't know. Just a lot of things are not adding up to me. I'm quite intuitive and I use my critical thinking a lot, and So the fact that he's gone all this way and yet two of his friends are not alarmed by the fact that he's so far away, that they didn't say to him, look, you know, where's your location? Or we'll get a taxi out to you. You know, he spoke to Brad and to Lucy, and even though he said that he was in good spirits with Brad, he was starting to become alarmed with Lucy. This is what confuses me. Why didn't Lucy say, look, share with me your location before your phone dies so I can see where you are? The other thing then is, why isn't there communication between Lucy and Brad? Because if they're friends and they've all gone out there together, why, if Brad had spoken to, say, about 7:30 in the morning, if he's spoken to Jay, then why hasn't there, surely there would have been a conversation between, say, Brad and Lucy to say, hey, look, I've just had a conversation with Jay. He's like 10 hours away. What the heck is going on? You know, this is a bit worrying, because as a friend, and again, I know that I'm putting that on myself as what I would do. Say, you know, he wanted to carry on partying, fair enough. You think you're in a safe place. But when you wake up the next morning and have a phone conversation with your friend who you've left in a nightclub, so just a festival, partying the night away, thinking he's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But then to find out that he's 10 hours walk away, an hour's drive away, surely the first thing would be like, what are you doing? Why are you there? He gets him to go on Google Maps to look at how far away he is, which is why he then tells Brad how far away he is. But on Google Maps, even I looked, and you can see the road. You can see where the road is. So why would he then choose to then go off-road? There's video footage here where someone actually goes to the area that Jay's phone last pinged. That's the final ping they had from his phone. I'm going to put that up now.
Seriously. I went 10 metres max into the brambles. I've cut my leg, cut my ankle, fell 3 times in about 5 metres, and that is where his phone is pinged. The road is behind it. I'm telling you now, if his phone pinged in there, it's because someone threw it in there. There's no fucking way that lad has walked through that after a 3-day festival. Not a chance. Seriously.
Now, there's 2 people there that have gone to this terrain and they've said it's treacherous. Yes, in one way, there's an area you can walk down. But then, you know, the other guy has basically said, you know, I've just tried walking down here and I've been cut. I've been, you know, it's, you know, I've slipped a few times, which could explain the slipping that Brad heard allegedly on this phone call. But he, you know, and one of them, he says there's no way that he, why would, if his phone, we don't know if his phone was found there. We just know it was pinged there. But why would Jay, being lost, choose to take that route? Your fight or flight kicks in, your survival mode kicks in. If you're panicking and you're in a place where you've been lost, and I've actually had this where I have been lost, and I've spoken to other people as well, your survival skills kick in. Yes, you can panic, and you do tend to panic a bit. But then there's the other part of you that goes, right, you know, because you want to live, you know, so you're wanting to work out the best way. So he's got 1% on his battery left. Now, whether it's an Android or iPhone, it's probably either one, because they tend to be the most common phones. 1% can last enough time to ping something, to text something to somebody, a quick text to say, my phone's about to die, I'm lost, this is where I am. But we don't get that. We just get the fact that suddenly, you know, he's had these 2 conversations with 2 people that are supposedly friends of his, and his phone dies, and it's pinged in an area that is bush, basically. It's now, some have said that maybe he saw the sea, because you can see the sea in the distance. But when you look at the distance from where he was to the sea, it's miles away. And I don't believe, or I'm choosing to not believe that somebody, and no matter who they are, would choose to walk down to the beach through the most treacherous terrain in the middle of nowhere when you've got no water, nothing. Even if you're panicking and you're wanting, the chances are you would find the road and think, right, well, at least I'll walk along the road. So I'm going to, like I say, I'm going to be doing other videos on this but I just wanted to come on here and do this video and talk about what I feel is just not adding up. And like I say, the other videos that I'm going to be bringing up as well is the interviews with Jay's mum, Jay's dad. I think there was an interview with his brother. There was an interview with Brad. And I'm also going to be focusing on some of the other things that have come up as well. But this is a very odd case to me. I love my tinfoil hat, but I do try to use my critical thinking. I do try not to buy into some of the things that are coming up. Now, don't get me wrong, I have heard that he was involved in an incident back in 2021, I believe, where he was one of 8 young men who were charged with an assault on a 17-year-old young lad. Now, from what I'm seeing, he wasn't the one that wielded the weapon, but he was a bystander. Now, again, if I'm wrong with that, but this is what I'm seeing, and sometimes it's very hard to filter out the truth from the rumours of what is being said. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that that's a great thing at all. But the unfortunate thing is that this is taking away from this case. I think it's sad where I've seen a lot of comments on social media where people are saying, oh, you know, he deserves it, you know, he stood there while this happened. And I can understand the anger and frustration. Being in my job, you know, I get to see all sides. I get to see the sides where people are the victims of something, people that have survived something, and people that have actually contributed and caused hurt and pain. So I've seen all sides, but I don't think that I don't believe that it should take away from the fact that this is a 19-year-old that's missing. Whatever the reasons and whatever has gone on before that, it doesn't mean that what he was responsible for or what he stood by and watched was right. Of course it doesn't, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a 19-year-old man that's missing. But like I say, this case is very, very bizarre to me. There are so many things that are coming out that just do not make sense. Just from a perspective of understanding human behaviour, something doesn't feel right. My stance on this is something isn't adding up. There is a 19-year-old young man missing. I cannot even imagine what that feels like. I would like to believe even now that he could be found safe, but it is highly unlikely given it's been now just over 2 weeks. But yeah, so I'm going to be exploring this case a little bit more. So if you are interested and you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up. There will be a playlist which will be Jay Slater, so that will be there for you to go and look at. If you do not want to miss future uploads, then please think about subscribing to the channel. And so as you hit that like button, just go across and click on the subscribe, because, you know, they do go together, well, like coffee and crime. So that being said, all of my links to everything else that I'm on, the platforms that I'm on, and everything else is in my description box and also in the bio of the YouTube channel. So if you would like to also treat me to a cuppa, that would be amazing, but not necessary. But I appreciate it for the people that have done already. And if you haven't followed my other channels and that's something you might be interested in, then they go to the end of this video and they will be there. So that being said, in the meantime, as always, stay safe, keep aware of your surroundings, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.